All right, folks, tonight we're going to be doing a little jig leech, but I've got it so where it's balanced with a tungsten bead out past the jig hook eye, so it will ride horizontal in the water. This is kind of a play off of one called the Milwaukee leech. It's deadly in the southwestern part of Wisconsin, Minnesota, southeastern Minnesota, northeastern Iowa, the whole driftless area. I've also had good luck with it in the sand counties. So this is I tie it on a size 12 hook all the way up to about a size 8. I use the H480 BL by Hanak. You'll need just a regular pin that a dressmaker would use. I bought a box, I think of like 500 for $5 on Amazon or something. But I do use lineman pliers for it. I found that the metal is just hard enough that it'll actually damage my other wire cutters. I don't know what it is about this metal, but it, I can cut wire, etc., and it doesn't hurt it, but this stuff, it gets hurt. So then you take it, you thread it onto a regular tungsten bead so that it doesn't come off. You have to be careful. Some of the heads are, on those cheap needles are too small and they'll slide right through some of the beads, and sometimes they don't. So when you use 140 denier thread, I like red for this particular color combo, but when I tie it in all olive, I use olive, obviously. When I tie it in all black, I use black. I also fish this a lot for panfish. I like chartreuse and yellow. Those are my two favorite colors for that. So I do a nice thread base, come back to the hook guy, and you'll have to learn each fly and each bead, or each hook size in each bead will have a different spot where you need to have that bead sitting in front of the hook so that it balances it properly and it doesn't sit at an angle like this or like that, because we want it to be horizontal. Then once you think you got it right, look at it over the top, make sure that it's vertical like that. Then you hit just those thread wraps with a tiny drop of super glue. That's where this lightning bond really comes in handy, because I can put a really small amount there, as you saw. Just tap it with a paper towel. It's dry, I can smell it's already kicking. Then I throw thread wraps up the needle. When I get to the hook, or to the bead, just kind of hold it, do an extra 20 wraps or so up there. It's gonna build a little bit of a ball inside that bead. Kind of helps it from coming back a little bit, but also gives something for that bead to hold on to when I put a drop of Flexman in there later. So come back to where the shank stops, and on these barbless hooks it's kind of far back. Then I come back forward just so I have a spot to know where to go back to. Once I put some material in there, I can't tell. So then we just take some marabou. We don't need a lot. Maybe, on this size, maybe 15 fibers. Clean up the ends so they're nice and straight. Do your best to try to get them to end right at the end of the, where that needle stopped. We don't necessarily, that's a little bit of a bump, but we'll be able to hide that with our dubbing. Next, to measure the tail, I pull it forward. I want it just a little bit longer than the hook, the whole fly. So as you can see right there, it's all the further it is, maybe a 1/8 of an inch longer. That's looking good. Next, I throw some Flexman across the whole thing, because I'm going to do a kind of a Dave Whitlock dubbing wrap, where he just kind of takes some dubbing and a clump, kind of pull it in a little bit of a line like this. All you do is just get the front started, kind of. Just wrap it around. The thread's going to turn around the dubbing every time you wrap the thread, but it gives you a nice corded dubbing, but it's got some nice fuzz coming out of it, and you can pick it out really well. That's why I like it the most. When you get to the hook eye, do a figure 8 around the eye. When you get to the front of the eye, do your best to pick all this stuff off. We need a little bit of a clearing here. I'm gonna do a little dubbing loop, doesn't need to be very big. Stick your dubbing whirl in there. Then we're gonna dub one side. So I'm leaving my finger in there so I can get to the one side. About an inch, maybe 7/8 of an inch of thread dubbed. Push that all the way up there. Next, I'm going to take some of the dubbing here. This is, again, my own homemade dubbing. You guys know I like that stuff. It's got some nice sparkle to it. This is some rabbit, some squirrel, and then some different colors of flash mixed in there. But what I do is I want to show you, I just take it, pull it straight, and kind of stack it. I'm trying to align the fibers a little bit. I don't want them fully aligned. What that allows me to do is then to take one pinch, maybe a second pinch, and I can insert this into the dubbing loop. I don't know if you guys will see this, but I purposely left the last maybe 3/16 of an inch with no dubbing added in there. So that way it's kind of a clean spot to wrap with at the very end. Once I start spinning this, you'll see it wants to all wrap and not be perpendicular. I found that if I just take my bodkin, might have to pick out a few of the tougher ones. But there we go. The next thing I do is as I wrap, I pull all of that back so it's kind of like a veil. And you can see I have that last bit there that doesn't have any major, and I can use it to fill in any gaps. Like right there, I know I'm good. 2 good wraps. And clip that as short as you can get it. And I felt that time when I got enough pressure in there, I could feel my thread wraps pop below the bead. That's kind of what I like. Do a 2-turn whip finish, followed by a 4-turn whip finish. And right now, again, I can see that sitting on top of the bead. If I kind of give it a little bit of a pull sometimes, or a nudge with my fingernail, I can get it there. It's popped underneath the bead again. There was space there for it. So one of the things I'll also do is I'll pull that veil forward. I'll come into the body. You can pick it out with a needle like that if you want. You guys know I like my toothbrush that I use. It's not a toothbrush, it's a gun cleaning brush, but it's a soft plastic bristle. There. And then we can just, got that now. I'll come in and I'll put just a drop of Dave's Flexman on the top and the bottom. It'll soak into those wraps just a little bit. And then we have a nice little leech that balances nicely. I've checked this. You can check it yourselves. All you need to do is cut a piece of thread off your bobbin, you know, shove it in there, which I will admit, not easy. You can, if you have tippet hanging around, you can do that as well, but that stuff's expensive compared to thread. So there you have, nice little small leech.